Right now, somewhere in the universe, there is a version of you, and that version of you made the right choice, the one you didn't make. They said yes when you said no. They stayed when you left. They left when you stayed. They sent the message. They asked the question, they took the job, and right now they are living the life that you sometimes think about at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep. Here is the part that should get your attention. This is not a metaphor. This is not a motivational speech. This is physics. Now, before you close this video thinking I've lost my mind, give me 4 minutes, because what I'm about to explain is one of the most tested, most argued about, and most mind-destroying ideas in modern science. And by the end of this, you will never make a decision the same way again, or you will be so confused that you'll stare at a wall for 20 minutes. Either way, worth it. Let's start with something you already know. Quantum mechanics, the science of the very small. Electrons, photons, the building blocks of everything. Here is what quantum mechanics tells us about reality. Before you observe something, it does not have a definite state. An electron is not in one place. It is in all possible places simultaneously. Probability cloud, a spread of potential, and the moment you observe it, it picks one. It collapses into a single definite position. This is called the collapse of the wave function, and it has been tested millions of times. It is one of the most confirmed facts in all of science. But here is the problem. Nobody agrees on what it means. And the answer to that question changes everything. The standard interpretation says the wave function collapses because of observation. Reality becomes definite when it is measured. Before measurement, all possibilities exist. After measurement, one possibility is chosen, the others disappear. They simply cease to exist. In 1957, a Princeton physicist named Hugh Everett III looked at this and said, wait, why would they disappear? What is the mechanism for disappearance? Where do all the other possibilities go? The equations of quantum mechanics do not describe disappearance. They describe evolution. They describe possibilities continuing. So what if they do continue? What if the wave function never collapses? What if instead, every time a quantum event can go multiple ways, the universe splits? Every possible outcome happens in separate branches. Each branch is as real as the others. Each branch is a universe, and we are in one of them. This is the many worlds interpretation, and it has a direct implication that most physics textbooks gloss over. If the universe splits at every quantum event, and quantum events happen constantly, everywhere, at every scale, then the number of parallel universes is not just large, it is incomprehensibly, meaninglessly, almost offensively large. And in an incomprehensibly large number of parallel universes, every version of every event that could possibly happen is happening, including every version of your life, including the version where you made the choice you didn't make, including the version where everything went right, including, I'm sorry to tell you, the version where everything went significantly more wrong than this. Take a moment. Drop a comment if this is already making your head hurt. I promise it gets worse. Now, here is where most explanations of the multiverse stop. They say, cool, parallel universes, fascinating, good night. But I want to go deeper because the implications of this are not just philosophical, they are personal, and they are strange in ways that most people never discuss. Let's talk about you specifically. Right now, in this moment, you are watching this video. That is a fact. in this universe. But at some point in the past, there was a moment when you might not have clicked on it. A slightly different day, a different mood, a different recommendation from the algorithm. In that branch, you are watching something else right now, or nothing at all, or you are asleep. That version of you is also real, having a completely different Tuesday, completely unaware of this information, and completely unbothered by that. Now scale this up. Every decision you have ever made was a branching point. Every relationship you entered or didn't enter, every job you took or didn't take, every conversation that went one way instead of another. At each of these points, all the roads were taken. All of them exist. All of them have a version of you living them. The version of you that took the different path at age 22 is now 40 years old or 30 or whatever age you are now, and they have lived a completely different life for all of those years. Different friends, different experiences, different version of who they became. They are not a copy of you. They are you. They started as you. They diverged from you at a moment, and they have been living ever since. I want you to really sit with that, not as an abstract concept, as a personal reality. There is a version of you that said yes to the thing you said no to. How different is their life right now? Leave that in the comments. I genuinely want to know, because the answers to that question are going to say something true about all of us. Now, here is the question that really matters, and the one that physicists have been fighting about since 1957. Is this actually real, or is it just a mathematical trick? A convenient fiction that makes the equations work? Hugh Everett believed it was real. He spent years trying to convince the physics establishment. They largely ignored him. He left academia, he went to work in defense research, he died in 1982. His son, rock musician Mark Everett, later described finding his father's body and not being able to feel much because they were strangers. The man who proposed that every possible life exists had not managed to live his own very well. There is a tragedy in that which I find genuinely moving. The physicist who said every version of your life is real somewhere could not navigate this one. After his death, the many worlds interpretation was gradually rehabilitated. Today, it is one of the most popular interpretations of quantum mechanics among working physicists. Not all of them, not even most of them, but a significant and serious number of people who spend their lives thinking about the foundations of reality believe that parallel universes are real, not metaphorically, physically, actually real. A 2013 survey of physicists at a major quantum foundations conference found that the many worlds interpretation was the most popular single interpretation, with about 18% of respondents choosing it. No interpretation commands majority support, because nobody knows. That is the honest state of physics on this question. Nobody knows. But the people who think many worlds might be right are not crackpots. They are serious physicists at serious institutions doing serious work. And the reason they find it compelling is not that it sounds cool. It is that the mathematics strongly suggests it. The equations do not describe collapse, they describe continuation. And if you follow the mathematics honestly, you end up in a multiverse. Subscribe to the channel, because in the next block, I'm going to tell you the part that nobody talks about, the part where this gets genuinely disturbing. Here is the part nobody talks about. Most discussions of the multiverse focus on the versions of you that are doing better. the you that took the job, the you that stayed in the relationship, the you that started the thing. It is a comforting framing. Somewhere there is a version of me living my best life. Good for them. But the mathematics does not play favorites. If every possible version of your life exists, then the versions that are doing better exist. And the versions that are doing significantly, specifically, inventively, worse also exist. There is a version of you for whom the worst thing that has happened to you in your life was not the worst thing. There are versions of you for whom this Tuesday is one of the bad ones. There are versions of you that have made every wrong choice at every available opportunity and are currently experiencing the cumulative result of that. I am not saying this to be dark. I am saying this because the honest version of the multiverse is not a comfort. It is a complete accounting. Every good outcome exists, every bad outcome exists. You are somewhere in the middle, and the version of you in the middle is the one reading this. Now, here is where it gets philosophically interesting and where I want you to actually think rather than just listen. If every version of your life exists, what is the difference between the good version and the bad version? Choices, just choices, starting from the same point, diverging at decisions, arriving at completely different lives. The multiverse does not make choices meaningless. It makes them the only thing that matters, because the choices are the only place where the branches diverge. You and your best life parallel self started the same. Same genes, same early experiences, same basic wiring, and somewhere along the line, the branches separated at a decision, maybe a small one, maybe one you barely remember, maybe one you made without knowing it was a decision at all. This is the part that I find most unsettling about the multiverse. Not the vastness, not the infinite copies, but the implication that the distance between you and the best version of you is made entirely of choices, choices that have already been made, choices that are being made right now, choices that will be made, and in each case, both options were taken by different versions of you, arriving at different lives. Some physicists argue that this should be liberating. If every choice leads to a universe where that choice was made, then there is no such thing as the wrong choice. Every path is taken, every outcome exists. You cannot fail globally. You can only fail locally in this branch for this version of you. I find this argument interesting, but not entirely convincing, because I live in this branch, and so do you. The other branches are real, but they are not accessible. You will not get to visit the version of you that made different choices. You cannot borrow their outcomes. You cannot transfer their experiences. You are here in this branch with these choices. And the version of you living your best life is doing it without you. Leave a comment telling me which choice you think sent your branches furthest apart, because I think about this more than is probably healthy, and I suspect I am not alone. Now I want to address the obvious question, the one you have been thinking since about 4 minutes into this video. Is any of this actually proven? Can we test it? Can we ever know? The honest answer is complicated, and the complication is interesting. The many worlds interpretation makes the same predictions as standard quantum mechanics for every experiment we can currently perform. This is both its strength and its weakness. Its strength because it is consistent with all the evidence. Its weakness because it means we cannot currently distinguish it from competing interpretations by experiment. The multiverse, if it exists, is by definition inaccessible to us. The branches that split off are no longer causally connected to ours. We cannot send a message to the other branch. We cannot receive one. We cannot travel there. We cannot detect it directly. Some physicists argue this makes the many worlds interpretation unfalsifiable, and unfalsifiable theories, they say, are not science. They are philosophy, maybe metaphysics, maybe just a story. Everettians push back. They argue that the interpretation is not unfalsifiable. It is currently untested. There are theoretical proposals for experiments that might distinguish many worlds from other interpretations. None of them are buildable with current technology, but the theoretical possibility exists, and there is another argument: simplicity. The many worlds interpretation requires only the equations of quantum mechanics, nothing added, no collapse mechanism, no special role for observers, no additional physics, just the equations, followed honestly to their conclusion, and the conclusion is a multiverse. Other interpretations require you to add something, a collapse rule, a hidden variable, an observer-dependent reality. Many worlds requires you to add nothing. It just requires you to accept what the equations say. This is a genuinely compelling argument. Physics has historically rewarded the simpler explanation. Not always, but often. And the simpler explanation here is that the branches are real. Now here is the question I want to leave you with. And I mean this as a genuine question, not a rhetorical one. If the multiverse is real, if every version of your life exists somewhere, does that change how you think about your choices? Does it make them more serious or less serious? Does it comfort you to know that somewhere the better version of your life is being lived? Or does it disturb you that you are not the one living it? I have thought about this more than I expected to when I started making this video. And my honest answer is that it makes choices feel heavier, not lighter. Because if every choice creates a branch, then the choice I make now is the one that determines which branch I am in. Not globally, not for every version of me, but for this version, the one I actually am, the one experiencing this moment, the one that will experience tomorrow. The other versions of me are fine. They are living their branches, some better, some worse. But they are not me, not this me, not the one writing this, not the one watching this. And this me has to live with the choices this me makes in this branch, the only branch I have access to, the only life I actually have. The multiverse does not let you off the hook. It just makes the hook bigger. Every choice you make is made. Every choice you do not make is also made by the version of you that did. And you will live the consequences of your choices while they live the consequences of theirs. And never the two shall meet, unless, of course, the universe works in ways we have not yet discovered, which, given what we have learned in the last 100 years, is not something I would rule out. So here is what I want from you. Two things. First, subscribe, because this series goes places that are even stranger than this, and you do not want to miss what comes next. Second, answer this question in the comments. If you could send one piece of information to the version of you that made the opposite choice at your most important crossroads, what would you say? Not to convince them they were wrong, not to change their mind, just one thing. What would you tell them? Because whatever you write is also what the other version of you might want